Everyone is waiting for the next major move from Bitcoin. So today, in this video, I need to show you some different but important charts that give us hints about the direction Bitcoin could take soon. Throughout this video, I will discuss some extremely important developments that have occurred in the past few days. We will also talk about some key levels to watch regarding Bitcoin and the entire crypto market in general. Okay, first of all, on the 4-hour time frame, let's start as always from here. You can see that since my video yesterday, we're still trying to break the edge of this orange box. On the 4-hour time frame, we haven't succeeded yet, and you can see we've had several candles trying to break through. Right now, we're slightly below. If you look at the daily time frame, you can see it even more clearly. We have our candle trying to break this resistance, and then we get rejected again with another candle moving inside, but ultimately, we get rejected once more. So, on the daily time frame, whether on the 4-hour time frame or the daily, the orange box remains a strong resistance for now. Of course, it will continue to be a resistance until we break through it. By the way, if you look at the moving averages here as well, you can see that we are also struggling with the green moving average here, which is the 200-day moving average. But if we could finally break these levels, we would be on the verge of a nice upward push. Why is that? Because not only would we be breaking important resistance levels, but we could also retest some levels where shorts were added during the upward movement. You can see here, for example, between $63,300 and $64,000, there are some short positions worth a few $100,000 that could be liquidated if we tap into that zone again. Now, on the lower end, we also have important levels of long positions, and that's something to watch out for. We could get liquidated around $61,000 to $60,000. So those are the levels to pay attention to regarding potential long or short liquidations. So far, everything seems to be holding up quite well. What you can also see is that we are forming a sort of W pattern. Now, this is something I generally don't like to trade when it comes after a strong upward trend. If you have an uptrend and then a pullback, you can see we have this low right here, which is actually a lower low. Wait, let me show you this on another chart. It might be more interesting, something like this, okay? As I was saying, we come from an uptrend, we've risen, and then we had a low right here, actually an even lower low on this side. What usually happens is when we break this neckline, which is the line you have right here, we generally get a little explosion upward. So how far could this take us if this pattern plays out? Well, it could be a price target like $67,000, depending on the strength of the breakout of this W pattern. But of course, we still need to be attentive to the resistance level that could prevent us from seeing such a nice upward movement if we can first break the neckline here at $63,000. Then you have, wait, let me see here, we have $66,000. So yeah, I'd say roughly that a logical target would be to come back up to about $66,700. Let's say maybe $67,000 or something like that, depending on the breakout from this trend line you have right here. So there you go. If we pass this neckline, then important things could happen, but we also know we have interesting resistance levels on the 2-day chart that might hold us back, which are at the orange and red lines you have here, currently at $64,000 and $65,200, respectively. That's a bit of what I'm currently watching in the short term. So, why do I generally not like to trade a W pattern forming after a big uptrend? Well, it's because what we usually want to see is rather a longer downtrend, and then the bottom forming like this, and finally we have a breakout, a push upward. So, I'm just pointing this out. Generally, I would have preferred to see this form after a longer downtrend. Now, instead of that, we have a W pattern forming after a big uptrend, which I don't necessarily like, but it's still a pattern, let's say, we'll see. Just know that many people will also be trading based on this pattern. That said, tonight, the traditional markets will open. We reached a new all-time high on the daily time frame on Friday, so that will be important as well. Can we continue this upward? That could provide enough fuel for us to break this W pattern and surpass these resistance levels, potentially pushing back upward, maybe even above the green 200-day moving average as well. Things are looking quite good. As I said, there are important things happening next week. I think the most significant event will take place on Thursday. The European Central Bank will make its decision on interest rates, but nothing particularly significant will happen during the week in terms of news. Yes, in fact, it's probably strange to say this, but maybe an attack on Iran is something we'll have to keep an eye on. And the anticipation, the waiting, everyone wondering what they will do, the state's installations targeting oil infrastructure, etc., could lead to another spike in oil prices, which could in turn lead to rising inflation. We'll see, but waiting is bad for the markets. So that will be the major event of the week to follow. For now, I don't think. Well, they said the action would be swift and it would happen quickly. But certainly this week, I would say according to their own words, I hope it doesn't escalate. Maybe it's just bluffing, let's hope, we'll see. What's also interesting is that the Fed continues to reduce its balance sheet, so even though they're lowering interest rates, they're also reducing their balance sheet. This reduces market liquidity, which is quite interesting. I would say it's really unusual for them to lower interest rates and also reduce their stimulus, in fact, their investments in the market. Usually, it's the opposite that happens. If you lower interest rates, you increase your investments, stimulating the economy further. What this suggests to me is that we still have something significant to look forward to. If the Fed at some point pivots again and starts adding more money back onto its balance sheet in the markets, it will be even more stimulation in addition to the rate cuts. That said, regarding China, you can see that inflation, or rather PPI, was released yesterday, and unfortunately it was worse than expected, meaning they have deflation on that side. So they will probably stimulate the economy further. It will be interesting to see how the markets react to all this news. That said, I also wanted to show you this. In every previous cycle, we've exceeded quarterly performance of 75% upward. Generally, you see quarters with over 75% gains, and in this cycle, you can see that hasn't happened yet at this line here. This is 75% per quarter, and we haven't moved back into that territory yet. You can see that in previous cycles, we even exceeded 200% returns per quarter at times. So all that to say that Bitcoin hasn't really seen great results. We've been dragging for months. What we usually see in previous cycles is nothing compared to what we see now. I think even currently, look at this. I think this will increase very strongly very quickly, and I think what we might see, I'd say maybe not a peak as significant as this, but certainly something larger than what we currently have. Once again, this is just my anticipation. It's just my opinion, but at least something similar to this, at least to exceed the 75% mark. So we'll see what that's about. I already talked about liquidations. I also wanted to show you that Bitcoin search volume is at a historically low level, or at least let's say, at an annual low. So no one is inquiring about Bitcoin. What are people searching for instead? Well, they're searching for the term meme coin, which is expected to reach again. By the way, this month, so the meme coin narrative continues. It's something we can take advantage of, and we will continue to benefit from it as well. Once again, meme coins may not be constructive for the ecosystem, but they bring in money. As for the election of Donald Trump, he is still leading. There are only 23 days, 3 weeks left until the election. So who will win? Especially, who will be the most beneficial for crypto? Well, Trump has given us quite a bit of good news for crypto in general, but on the other hand, Kamala Harris might have a softer monetary policy, perhaps inject more money into the system. So there you go. Obviously, well, I'm not a resident in the United States, but I would prefer Trump to win because if he fulfills everything he announced about crypto in terms of regulation and all that, it would be huge for the ecosystem. We know that the United States is really a leader in crypto, and we hope he doesn't scare them off. So I hope if he's elected, he won't forget the crypto community, that he won't forget what he promised, that he won't forget that he actually helped win here. I hope that will be the case. We could expect a much better regulatory climate in the United States regarding crypto entrepreneurs, which is what we want. That said, that's what I had for you today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.